vice president is?
In my mind, yeah.
It's interesting that this is kind of played out like an episode of The Apprentice.
I love the way that he does it. He just strings it all the way out to the end. Sources familiar with the process have told The Hill that frontrunners for the position include Burgum, Vance, Rubio.
It feels kind of like it's between Burgum and JD.
He hasn't vocalized it even internally in his campaign. Who knows if that's true or not, but I love the pageantry.
Burgum, I think, just brings so much to the table.
Asked if his pick knows it's them, Trump responded, nobody knows.
I think Trump is the curtain goes up at the convention, and here it is.
Which VP contender helps Trump the most? Is it Burgum, Vance, Scott, Rubio, anyone else you want to fill in?
A new study reports that credit card rewards provide a lifeline for working class Americans. Rewards like cash back empower low and middle income families to pay for the rising price of groceries and gas. So why are DC politicians partnering with corporate megastores to steal cash back from families during skyrocketing inflation? The Durbin-Marshall credit card bill takes billions from American families lining corporate pockets instead. Protect our credit card rewards lifeline. Tell DC politicians to oppose the Durbin-Marshall credit card bill. Learn more at electronicpaymentscoalition.org.
Ladies and gentlemen, your attention, please.
Just a catching strays over here.
You're in for a hell of a show.
Keep the faith, hold the line, and own the libs.
It's time for our main event.
Welcome back to the Ruthless Variety Program. My name is Josh Holmes, along with Comfortably Smug, Michael Duncan, and John Ashbrook. A full cast and crew here back with you. I'd like to thank you fellas for holding up my end of the bargain last week.
We tried.
You did very well.
Thank you.
You know, it was a lot of fun, but we did miss our friends.
Well,
dearly.
Yeah. Well, they were good episodes.
Yeah.
There were good episodes. We got keen insight from men and the power of you two esteemed gentlemen.
Thank you.
Smug and I enjoyed ourselves at some level. You did a show, though, last week.
Yeah. I was there for the Tuesday, and then just
Then you had
to deal with
Juneteenth.
so
You had
much.
Juneteenth.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was definitely that.
I was
As our POC, it made sense.
as a POC. Yeah, no, it's very, very important to have that. There's a great inside story about that, by the way. It's not just a drive-by.
No, it's not. It's funny. We're not going to tell it. You have to go back and listen to the back catalog.
Yeah, you gotta listen to that. I was at the beach with my family, and I hesitate to call it vacation because if you have a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old, it's basically just parenting in a different place, which is it was great. They enjoyed it. They had a blast, and we had a great outfit, and everything was terrific. It's not exactly like I'm rested and ready, however.
Yeah. Yeah. It's always tough when it's like you get back from vacation, and you're like, I could use a vacation.
Could use a vacation for the vacation. But I listened to the episodes. You guys did terrifically. I felt like I was better informed as a result of the ongoing news debate of last week. And so we endeavor to do that again here this week. The best way to start these things, always, is just one of these two idiots. So let's play clip 1 right off the top here, if you don't mind, Spaghettis.
People stand together when we use our collective voice, when we stand in solidarity, we can drive extraordinary change because it is we who stand together as the collective who have the power and the ability to see what can be unburdened by what has been.
Oh, my God.
First, right off the top, I just want to mention like this is a canned line she's used many times.
She's used that? That's a stump?
Yeah, that is apparently like she thought the first time she said it was such a banger that she had to bring it back. The unburdened by what has been is a line that she is frequently used.
That sounds like a very early build of ChatGPT. Like before they ironed out a lot, and it was just like spitting back words, and they're like, well, I mean, I guess it's doing something.
Do we know what that audience was? What is that? Wolf, do we know where that was? I mean, it's just some Democratic gathering, but I don't even know what the hell she's talking about.
And the crowd clearly wasn't into it. It's just like silence of like, is she just repeting the same shit over and over?
So we're standing. Okay, so now we're standing, and we're using our voices and
collectively,
and we're collectively
together.
And now we have power
because it's collective and together,
and we're also unburdened.
Because
all right, so what are we doing?
What is it that we're collectively unburdened?
Yeah, I don't think there's a verb in any of that.
No.
Dude, it's remarkable and we're going to cover this here in the show, but I do think that it actually puts a fine point on where we're at in this presidential election cycle in terms of where President Trump is with his VP pick. And it is my view, I don't know what you guys think, but it is my view that this could be the most consequential VP pick in our era. Like, typically it doesn't really matter. And it certainly doesn't really matter in an era of Trump where he just sort of blots out the sun. Like, it's Trump and then everything else. But the fact of the matter is there's absolutely nobody drawing breath in the United States that doesn't look at Joe Biden and wonder to themselves whether or not this guy can make it 4 years.
Yeah.
And that's the backup.
That's it.
That's the lady who's throwing passes on the sideline ready to get into the game.
Terrifying.
So if you're worried about the health and well-being of your starting pitcher, like, that's the situation you got behind it. And whoever he chooses is going to match up against that.
Right. You could pick a name out of a phone book, and it's going to be better than that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, so, we're going to debate, who should he pick? This, that, the other thing. There's no possible way he could pick a name out of a phone book to be better than Kamala Harris.
Well, just remember the power of community banks, folks, is that they're in the community.
Yeah.
That's the kind of brilliance that we've been treated to on a week in and week out basis by Kamala Harris. And I imagine that whomever, if the short list that has been furnished by the Trump campaign is indeed an accurate furnishing of a list, I feel pretty good about any name on that list matching up with that situation.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, it really feels like there's a lot of momentum for the Trump campaign. Like, we're going to get into it in our various segments, but it seems like it's going to be a pretty good month of July for the Trump campaign, the way things are headed.
Well, following a good month of June, a good month of May, a good month of April, I mean, it's been like, it's a roller coaster at this point. I mean, it feels like it's all going well. Are none of you going to comment on my exquisite duster?
I think it's great. I think you need to keep going.
Yeah.
I really, I
It's just
think
going to be a part of the look, right?
I
mean,
think
this
it
is
has
like
to
what
be.
this is my thing now.
It has to be.
Yeah. I think we need to get you one of those pirate hats.
Pirate.
And then you could go full on Jack Sparrow.
Oh,
Yeah.
I was thinking more of a Johnny Ringo, but a Jack Sparrow is something
I get something.
worth considering. I don't know. I'm considering it, making it part of the look.
Well, for our audio-only listeners, let me just describe this thing. So Holmes has come back from vacation with I would say, a mature mustache. There's not a lot of edging work. He's really going for a rustic look here. It's all the hair, folks. It's all the hair, from nose to lip.
Yeah.
And then he's got a nice, artful soul patch.
It's like a Tom Selleck kind of deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I
Yeah.
want to make,
And that's also a reason to subscribe on YouTube, because you want to see it on video. So if you have not yet, you should subscribe to the YouTube.
and remember, it's free.
It's free to subscribe.
It's free to subscribe. We don't chase you around the internet or anything.
2 months from now, it's going to be an episode of Picket Fences.
So coming up on Ruthless, Trump tells the world that he's finally picked his VP, but when will he tell the rest of us? We'll debate all of that. The Biden campaign is now trailing Trump in fundraising. Amazing development. We're going to talk about the implications of that. And then we have a great guest today, Sarah Gabel. She's on the forefront of a movement to bring conservative values back to the business world. A lot about the parallel economy. If it's ever concerned you for even an hour about spending money on the goods and services that you require in a day-to-day life with a bunch of people who don't share your values and basically just straight outsource everything to whether it's
China or just giving, like, it came out last week, Patagonia is giving like millions and millions of dollars to left-wing dark money groups. It's like, stop funding companies that hate you.
Yeah, I mean, if the Palestinians on campus bother you even a little bit, maybe you should make sure that the companies that you are buying goods and services from don't fund it.
Yeah. Novel idea.
Simple proposition.
So she's going to talk about all of that right after this.
All right, minions, listen up. This one is very important. We've all seen the videos, pictures, and stories of the horrendous things coming out of America's schools. And you, dear listener, know that almost all of it is coming from the national teachers' unions that are hell-bent on destroying American public education. Thankfully, our friends at the Freedom Foundation are doing something about it. This July 8th through 10th, they are back in Denver, Colorado for the 2024 Teacher Freedom Summit. Join hundreds of like-minded teachers from across the country to hear from renowned speakers like Dr. Carol Swain, Dr. James Lindsay, and many, many more. The cost of the conference, hotel, and food is all covered thanks to the Freedom Foundation's wonderful supporters. You just have to get yourself to beautiful Denver, Colorado. You won't want to miss this opportunity. Learn more and sign up today at freedomfoundation.com/TFS 2024. That's freedomfoundation.com/TFS 2024.
Okay, so Trump. We just discussed about how consequential this pick is, and I actually really do believe that. Everybody says VP, and they pump it up every cycle that I've been involved in this business. It's like, oh my God, it's such a big consequential decision. Usually it's not, but I do think it is in this case because of Biden and because of Kamala and because of what do the people think of Kamala Harris and what the people think of Biden's ability to serve a second term. So who he picks here, it's usually looked at through a lens of what state do they live in? What constituency do they have? What's their resonance with the American people? With a demographic that can help put you over the line on 270 electoral votes. Not sure that's true. Like Trump's going to do what he's going to do on the 270 front. And I don't think a VP helps in constituency building. What I think it helps a lot in is imagining a world where you have two octogenarians that are running for office. You don't have to take a far leap to figure out, like, that backup's sort of important here, right? So this is going to be a thing where they match up 1 versus 1 on who can actually do the job. Fellas, what do we think of all this?
Well, I mean, it's interesting that this is kind of played out like an episode of The Apprentice where you've had contestants trying out, and word came out a couple weeks ago that the Trump campaign formally sent out like vetting documents to, a number of folks. So they should be considered like, if they're filling out the vetting documents and providing that information, they're being considered very seriously. At this point in my mind, it feels kind of like it's between Burgum and JD, right? And Holmes brought up the whole thing of like, you might have sometimes the thought process is like an electoral thing. If that is actually a concern, you've got JD in Ohio, which, has been, trending more red, but still it's always great to make sure you've got Ohio locked up.
Well, there's no path without it.
Exactly. Yeah. And Burgum, I think, just brings so much to the table. A lot of Trump's constituency and appeal was speaking to like the forgotten man, people who feel like they've been left behind, people who've been told like learn to code when their jobs have gotten outsourced or destroyed by left-wing policy. And so Burgum can absolutely speak to that, and so can JD. I mean, his life story is tremendous, literally a bestseller. And that, I think, is also very compelling, especially when you bring up the age thing of kind of like JD brings a new generation of leadership with him, which helps make the ticket even stronger.
Well, the other guy who's been mentioned in this sort of final 3 is Marco Rubio. And what I like about each of these guys is you either get a poor kid from Florida, a poor kid from North Dakota, or a poor kid from Ohio. And I'm from a place called Hamilton, Ohio, which is just south of Middletown where JD grew up. I really think that JD would be a great pick. I love Burgum. I love a lot about him. I think he would be a great pick. But JD would be special to me because he's from the neighboring town, and he obviously famously grew
go
up
figure.
in terrible...
Somehow Ashbrook made this about
brought it to Ohio.
Always about himself.
I'm shocked.
It's incredible.
And then he tried pushing Rubio for a second. Like, what the hell's going on there?
No, are you kidding?
No,
Rubio has an incredible personal story.
I don't know. I'm not big on Rubio. I don't think he's serious. Well, we'll see.
You know what? I want him to pick Rubio now just so Smug has to eat crow.
I'm not a big
It would
Rubio
be
guy.
great.
Wouldn't that be hilarious?
Well, the best part is like when we book a VP interview here, and then Smug's like not allowed.
You're not allowed.
I'm just saying. I think it's very clear. I think Marco is very disloyal.
We're going to have to bring actual crow on the program so that Smug can eat cooked crow.
But no, I really feel like, from looking at a lot of the movement, you saw there was a tweet that kind of went viral over the weekend where this guy's like, Trump has already picked his VP. It was unannounced. You saw Trump's plane land, in Ohio,
in
Cleveland. So it's definitely like completely forgetting that like actually that night JD was at a fundraiser for Trump. You know, like that's why they were there. So I think you look at things like that, and you look at how Burgum's been just barnstorming the country, you know, trying to get more folks to get out and vote for Trump. He's been doing an incredible job as a surrogate. It really, to me, feels like it's between those two.
Well, so, okay, you mentioned Rubio. You know, the other senator is Tim Scott, right? And I know you sort of mentioned at the top, but, like, is it a constituency play? You know, Rubio, would he appeal to Hispanic voters who, you know, are sort of like ascendant in the Republican you know, party? You know, it's an important constituency. Or Tim Scott with the African American vote, another situation where Donald Trump's overperforming historically, where Republicans have finished up at Election Day. Now, does it ultimately regress to the mean and we don't, you know, increase the voter share of African American voters? Possibly. I don't know. But at least that, I think that is sort of going here into the calculus of things, is like, does Rubio give you a shot with, like, I don't know, service workers in Clark County in Nevada? You know what I mean?
I do think it's interesting because, as we've seen in the polling, that Hispanic voters align with us a whole lot more than they align with people who are calling them Latinx.
Right.
And I think that Rubio, when he just seamlessly shifts into Spanish language, and he is saying the same thing in that language as he's saying in English, about how the man is keeping you down. Everybody who's working their ass off that speaks Spanish are like, yes, yes, yes. And those people want to vote for Trump more than they want to vote for Biden.
No question about it. I think it's interesting. So, I mean, look, I've done a fair amount. I was at an event a couple weeks ago with Trump where he certainly took notice of the three senators that were in this discussion: Tim Scott, Marco Rubio, JD Vance.
This was the behind closed doors Senate meeting.
Yes. Yeah. I was fortunate enough to be a part of that, which was fascinating for a whole different range of things. I mean, he was on point. I mean, Trump was focused to a point where I you know, having been around him for 8 years, this was different. Very, very focused, very policy centric, talking about political difficulties that the party's encountered and how you navigate that, how he's navigating that and bouncing ideas off people. I mean, it was like really, really impressive stuff. But you look at the VP Veep stakes. First of all, I love the way that he does it. He just strings it all the way out to the end. It really is like a full-blown apprentice style.
Yeah, it's great.
Interview, right? Where everybody's doing everything they can.
It's because it's an important role. You don't just hand it to the first idiot who holds up their hand like Kamala Harris did for Joe Biden.
Yeah. So you talk to people who are like in the know, who have frequent discussions with the former president about these sort of things, and you get the indication of, as you mentioned, that like JD is a first-round draft pick.
Yep.
That he's somebody that you want to go with right off the bat. But then I look at like every decision has a couple of different layers to it. I agree that he's a first-round draft pick, no question about it. You wonder about what an open Senate seat in Ohio with a Governor DeWine who doesn't quite see eye to eye with Donald Trump on a number of issues, has historically high approval rating in Ohio, so he can kind of do what he wants to do. He's not beholden to Trump by any stretch of the imagination, but he endorsed, what was it, Dolan in that Senate race over Bernie Moreno, Trump's candidate. If there's an open seat there and he gets an appointment, a different sort of appointment than an America First Trump person, if you have a narrow majority, God willing, in the Senate, could complicate things like cabinet picks.
Wow.
Right? If it's somebody who's more skeptical, shall we say, and not going to vote for the home team, and you got to go through them, like, does that just complicate your world? I don't know, but that's something you got to think about if you are picking a VP, particularly if you're picking a VP out of the United States Senate. Because, South Carolina, you look at it, McMaster, we're going to do fine there. Florida's interesting in that you'd actually have to have Marco Rubio move to another state.
Yeah, because there's that whole rule that, President Reed can't be same.
Yeah. Well, it's a delegate issue. So it's not like it's complicated. We can get into it another time. But it is, you actually do need to move to a different state.
But he wouldn't have to do that until after the election.
No.
Before the vote?
No, there's some reason why you would have to.
Maybe?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, look, all is possible in court challenges, but have we found out, like the judicial branch when it comes to Trump, as well as we do in appellate courts and the Supreme Court, you don't really want to roll the dice on all of that. So I don't know if that makes a difference or not, but it's something to think about. Tim Scott, like I said, kind of a 5-iron down the middle of the fairway.
So I'd heard rumors over the weekend that Tim Scott had been told he's out or something. It was trending on Twitter.
Oh, is that right?
That's my source on it.
Well,
So
that
it's not like, I talked to
Trust me, bro.
Yeah, it's not like I got this. But the fact that, like, you know what I mean? If there's a lot of discussion of that.
Well, I mean, so The Hill published an article yesterday. Trump decided on his running mate. The president told reporters on Saturday he's made up his mind about who his running mate's going to be in November, but he's yet to tell anyone yet. Trump told NBC News ahead of a rally in Philadelphia that he's settled on a vice presidential choice. In my mind, yeah, meaning he hasn't vocalized it even internally in his campaign. Who knows if that's true or not, but I love the pageantry. Right? Love it. Asked if his pick knows it's them, Trump responded, nobody knows. I kind of believe that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't you kind of believe that?
Totally.
I mean, I love it. It's just like a full...
I mean, the guy knows how to make things
He
exciting.
really does.
So-
Modern day P.T. Barnum.
Yeah, so sources familiar with the process have told The Hill that frontrunners for the position include Burgum, Vance, Rubio. Others received vetting materials under consideration are Tim Scott, Tom Cotton, good friend of the program, did our very first interview here some 3 years ago. Elise Stefanik, all these people are friends of the program, and Byron Donalds. And then also Ben Carson, who I don't think has been on the program. We should get Ben.
No,
we
we
should have
definitely
him on.
should
He's
get
a
him.
genius.
We should get Ben Carson on at
The
some
guy was
point.
a miracle worker.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, like, look, for the criteria that I sort of laid out at the front about how important it is to match up against Kamala in terms of who can do the job, you look at that list and you're like, yeah, I feel good about that.
So I have a question for everybody.
Okay.
And this is a one answer, one name kind of thing.
So Ashbrook can't take two.
You can't say three
Yeah.
No,
people.
he's gonna be like, well, I think the first three things that you talked about are mine.
Yeah. So I want each person here, if you had to give your best guess, not like who you think necessarily would be the best for it, but if you had to guess who's going to be picked, who do you think it is?
Only one, huh?
Only one.
Yeah, please don't do
Only
this.
one. Okay. I'm from Ohio. I'm going to say JD.
Okay.
Okay.
Dunks?
I think I'm not going to say.
He's really ruminating.
Well, I'm
Pondering.
trying to say how to phrase this. I think that there are
There's nobody from Indiana.
opinions. I think there are opinions or pressures being put on Mr. Trump,
Yep.
and that leads me to believe it's going to be Marco Rubio.
Interesting.
No, wow.
Interesting. I've heard these same pressures. I've heard these same discussions. And that's not unfounded.
Wow.
Smug.
Burgum.
Yeah.
I just feel like there's something in the air. It feels like, Burgum's been putting in a lot of work. It seems like they got a good partnership thing
I
going.
mean, look, I agree with you, Smug, and you're right. He has been barnstorming everywhere, and like he is the American dream.
Yep.
And you know what's so funny online? You guys have probably seen this. The question of how long have you looked like George Washington?
Yeah.
He
I saw that.
looks like
I saw
George
that.
Washington.
Well, as soon as people pointed it out, I was like, wow. He does.
I mean, like he sold a software company in North Dakota to Microsoft for a couple $2 billion, but then he can ride a horse into the middle of PBR carrying the American flag.
Yep.
Like, will you ride into the rodeo carrying like a 10-foot American flag on a horse?
Yeah.
You're pretty fucking cool.
Yeah.
Well, it's just chill as hell. And here's the thing, like before I preface it, we've got good relationships with all these people. We all think that they're smart. We all think they can do the job. So it's not about that. Burgum holds a special place in my heart because we were just introduced to him within the last year. And I think have formed an incredible relationship with this guy where we ate rattlesnake. We've hung out. So we know him well enough to know, like, this is a salt of the earth individual.
Yeah. Rock
Like,
solid.
this is somebody who's never going to disappoint you under any circumstances. So, I have a special place for that. But like you guys, you know, in your picks, if I'm going different, you got to throw Tim Scott back into it. And here's the thing that I found most interesting. There was an invitation that was circulating around about an event in Atlanta with coinciding with the debate on Thursday.
What, a Scott event?
Well, just wait. So Trump says in response to these reporters, my VP will be at the debate. This is, I don't know if it's an event that is like a debate watch party or if it's actually like people go from the debate to the watch party. Trump is supposed to make an appearance at this watch party, you know. So they've got, and listed in the people who are going to be at the watch party are JD, Marco, Burgum, not Tim Scott. Which says one of two things. Either he's out or he's the guy.
That's interesting. Like,
And-
at the actual debate, and not
Right.
interesting.
You know, so I don't know. You got to throw
That's a
Tim
very
Scott.
I would be disappointed with that. Not Tim Scott. No. I mean, like, we talked a lot about the pageantry of all of this. Like, the debate is Trump's night.
Yeah.
I wouldn't roll up my
No,
VP
you don't
on
do
the
that.
night.
No.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think the whole, like, my VP pick's going to be at the debate is so he can get everybody who's got a chance to show up.
To come be a surrogate.
To come be there, be
Yeah.
the best surrogate possible. Back to the apprentice thing. It's like,
Yep.
get everybody here one more time, one more dress rehearsal. You know, so
Yep.
I see what you're saying, but that strikes me as not Trump. Like, I think Trump is the curtain goes up at the convention, and here it is.
I think that's right. It's just an interesting
would be
data
pretty
point
cool,
to discuss.
honestly.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
no. It's interesting.
And I also look at the other people who received vetting materials, like Tom Cotton. I want him as Secretary of Defense. There is absolutely no thing that could make me feel more safe as an American than having Tom Cotton in the Pentagon. I just feel that. You know, maybe that's just me, but it is what it is. He's not going to be vice president. That's where I'd want him to be. And it seems like if they've really narrowed it down to just the ones we've been discussing, that seems like a great pick. So if it's outside the box and it's one of these others, I love Tom Cotton. I'd love for him to be a part of that. But if he's going to get a secretary position or something else, because it seems like he's on the top of the list, that's where I want him. That's where I'd want him. You know, all good people to be in different places, but we're going to find out.
I'm trying to remember. Did Trump say that he was going to wait until the convention to reveal the VP, or he was going to wait until the debate, or
I thought he had said convention.
convention? Okay.
So I don't know. I mean, like, look,
I think the morning he wakes up and decides he wants to do it, they're doing it.
yeah, that's the thing.
It's not. This is
Yeah.
the best part.
But
The
as
thing
a-
that you love about Trump.
I know, but like as a man who enjoys the pageantry of it, I really hope it can stay under wraps.
Yeah, I don't want it to come out.
You
Also,
know,
it would make a hell of a show for us there at the convention. You know,
you know it's going to stay under wraps until the exact right moment. Einstein, when he wrote E = MC squared on a chalkboard, that was the moment that you knew that modern science was locked in. The second that Donald Trump names his vice president, that's how you know who is actually going to be a part of his ticket that wins this election.
It's very good. You've given a little preview. We don't have an announcement to make today. We will in the very near future, but we will be at the convention.
Oh, we're gonna be
We'll be
involved.
doing a similar game day type setup. We've got partners here that we're dealing with, and we will announce that all in due time. But get excited because I am.
it's going to be
pumped.
amazing. Yeah.
I am pumped. All right. So, listen, I think the question, and by the way, we love these things.
Yeah.
They're just so great when you log in, you subscribe to the YouTube, and you give us, we read all of them. Today's question is, which VP contender helps Trump the most? Is it Burgum, Vance, Scott, Rubio, anyone else you want to fill in?
It's a great question.
I want to know from your standpoint out there in the country, in your constituency, and the people that you deal with, who do you think?
Because I haven't seen any polling done on the VP question, and I think the best way to get a cross-section of where conservatives stand is our listenership. Hearing from what our listeners think, I think gives you the best indicator.
Well, we got a little bit of everybody within the Republican Party and a few haters on the outside that love to hate listen.
yeah.
And we love the hate listeners.
Somebody put up smug for the job because I'd love to see that.
Can you imagine?
I would never take it. I would never.
Well, your
ever.
vetting would fail miserably.
Oh yeah, no chance.
Yeah, there's just no way that they actually get to a second level. on that deal. Like the guy who just does the Google search is like, "Hey, boss, we got a problem.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah. This is quickest vetting in history.
We got a problem." Okay, so last week's question, which we want to read through some of these things. Are mass deportations even possible?
Yep.
So this comes in context of Biden. Remember, he was like, I can't do anything about the immigration situation. I can't secure the border. I've got to reverse all the Trump administration stuff and created a crisis. And then 3.5 years into his administration, he's like, I actually can do something. I'm going to do it. Got some blowback from the left. And he's like, oh, by the way, we're also going to just make everyone legal.
Yeah.
I mean, that's basically the cadence. Am I right?
Yep.
Like,
Yeah.
that's basically what they did. So the question then was to conservatives, like, what are you going to do about that? And I think what Donald Trump has done is lay out a pretty good practical way of securing the border. The larger question has always been, what do you do with people on the interior? What do you do with people who are already here illegally? And there's massive poll numbers that show the vast majority of Americans want mass deportation of folks.
And we're talking about over 60%.
Yeah, like, I mean, it's like mom and apple pie type stuff in America these days. And so the question is, like, is that even possible? Like, from a governmental standpoint, can you do it? So we have a bunch of comments from everybody on that. Let's start with a voice down in the end.
And remember, we love your comments, but we always say like and subscribe if you wish to opine.
Yeah, that's right.
First comment comes from Deborah Nevis. And Deborah writes, love, love, love the program, gentlemen, even though I'm an animal lover and boomer.
Oh, boy.
Oh,
Boomers
man.
are the best.
Really crack. Yeah, you know, you should
I'm
have
the
got a friend in you, pal.
Yeah.
You got a friend in me.
I always will stand with the boomers.
Deborah continues, I would like to believe that a Republican president and majority would clean up the illegal immigration issue, but I'm not sure how you can right that wrong within a 4-year time frame. A tornado takes seconds to destroy, but the cleanup takes years.
Oh, man, that's smart.
What I do believe is that a Republican majority could stem the tide.
Gosh, I agree with every single sentence.
It's Deborah
of that.
Nevis.
Deborah
Poetry.
has clearly put a lot of thought into that, and I think she's right. I mean, if anybody thinks that the issue erases itself the day after the election, they got another thing coming. This is going to take a lot of hard work. Yeah. But it starts with that.
That's right.
And there's no other way than to start with that. All right, Dunks, what do we got?
This one comes from Shannon Favre. Shannon Favre, do you think that's Packers Favre or Vikings Favre?
Oh, good question.
Or a Mississippi Favre, which is a different connotation. But I, you know, let's just say Minnesota.
Shannon writes, to answer Thursday's question, Democrats will never let mass deportation happen, not even if Republicans have a clean sweep in the fall. If they have gone to these jaw-dropping unconstitutional lengths to get millions of illegal immigrants in, they will do absolutely anything to keep them in. Whether it is tying up a deportation program in the courts as a, quote, accepted procedural method, an all-out media propaganda war, deep state roadblocks, or ideas that we have not even thought of yet, they will do anything. And it will not be pretty. They are too close to their political endgame of a permanent demographic shift. This is something Democrats have said.
Yes.
To let anything get in the way of it now, regardless of what the American people are begging for. Yeah, see, that's actually one of the most interesting. I'm glad she raised this point. There's this gaslighting in American politics, and it's happened the last couple of years, that like it is alt-right to suggest that Democrats want illegal immigrants in the country to vote for Democrats.
But they
have said that publicly.
Yes.
They have said that publicly. They've said it for years on camera. And so to suggest that like deporting them makes everyone a white nationalist is just like complete fucking fiction.
But you got to wonder about the strategic intent there when you've seen your vote share amongst Hispanics go from 70 to 65 to 55.
Not working out.
To like, you know, in polling it shows under 50. I mean, I'm not sure that's like, I get what they're going for, and I'm unconflicted about what they think is going to happen. But it doesn't feel like that's the way that Hispanic immigrants are seen, at least multi-generational, which, again, we don't know what the political affiliation for 2 million people crossing the border tomorrow feel like.
Yeah.
But it is an interesting point.
It is.
I also think if you get 4 years of a second Trump term, you are not inhibited by the political pressures in a way that you are on the front end of a potential 2-term deal, right?
Yeah.
Where you can make some calls and do some things. You're not actually that worried about where the political ramifications are because you're there for 4 years to do a job.
That's right.
And I think a lot of America is right there right now. Go do a job.
Yep.
And it's going to be ugly. We hate that we have to go through this, but they have screwed things up so spectacularly that somebody's got to go in and just fix it.
That's it.
Right?
I mean, I think if you can shut down all of America for a coronavirus,
Yeah.
you should be able to mobilize to deport people who are here illegally.
That
who
is
broke the
way
law.
harder.
Way harder.
Way harder.
Yeah.
The corona thing,
Yeah.
way harder than a deportation of people who are here illegally. It just is. I mean, we were telling people in that era, the federal government was telling people, like, you can't make a living. You can't do your job. You're a small business owner, you can't actually go to work. That's your lifeblood. That's how you feed your family. You can't actually do it. And they were able to actually do that. And then Democrats, convinced people to do it and try to do it in perpetuity.
Yeah.
And they got that part done. So you mean to tell me that the people who are here illegally can't just go home? We can't figure out a way to send them home?
Yeah.
If you can send people from Texas to Nantucket, you can send people back to El Salvador. I'm just telling you.
I think so.
All right, Smug, what do we got?
This is from Jeffrey Atkinson. He writes, yes, it's absolutely possible. We moved the American military to Saudi Arabia in 2 months, so it can be done. Another way, cut off the free stuff, except for a free ride back. Give the illegal immigrants notice. No more expenses paid to stay here. No more money to the NGOs. And I think that is a huge part of the issue is, they've had interviews with illegal aliens as they cross the border, and they've said that, it's totally different under Biden than Trump. Under Trump, it was like a lockdown. But we all saw the debate, and it said that, every Democrat there said that if we come to America, they'll give us insurance, place to live, and everything. That's what ended up happening. It was clear as day. There was video that Fox News captured of illegal immigrants entering the country wearing Biden shirts.
Yeah.
I mean, it could not be clearer that when you set up, giving notice that, hey, if you come here illegally, you get tons of free stuff. What do you think is going to happen? And it was the exact opposite under the Trump administration, where word got out that, hey, the border is closed. It's not like it used to be. And you saw the numbers completely drop for illegal immigration.
I just think it's such an important point in this election, and all the dancing that they've done on this issue.
Yeah.
There isn't an open border.
Yep.
Well, there's a problem and we're working on it. We've got
Republicans aren't letting us fix it.
Republicans are the ones that are stopping us from closing the border to ultimately I guess we can do some things on our own. And then we can legalize everybody who's in here. It's a mess for Joe Biden of his own making.
Yep.
That I don't think anybody's confused about.
Nope.
If you're the least bit concerned about fentanyl, child trafficking, debt.
I mean, the crime alone, it's unbelievable.
And if you're the least bit concerned about any of that, I don't think you're conflicted about it.
No.
It's a pretty clear deal. Can you imagine getting to a point where you're as an American voter, you're looking at this stuff and you're like, well, no, look, I think Joe Biden's done everything he can to secure the border. Do you know how fucking crazy you have to be to actually say those words? You literally have to be a lunatic, an absolute lunatic, to think to yourself, this man has done what is necessary to secure our border.
I mean, he doesn't. Nobody thinks that. Nobody thinks that unless you live in a gated community in nice suburb of Hollywood.
The voters who decide this election,
right?
That's the question that they're going to be grappling with, and there is a hell of a lot of people who've taken leave of their senses, as we have found out over the last 6-7 months, as it deals with Gaza and everything else, crazy formulations of who's doing what. And they're going to say, people are well, he tried to do it, but the Republicans stopped him.
And the messaging from the media. I mean, it was discussed last week, but that they've called amnesty, they've changed the term to immigration relief. The media is hard at work trying to gaslight people into believing that breaking the law entering the country illegally is okay.
Immigration relief.
They've really started calling it immigration relief instead of amnesty because they're like, everyone knows amnesty is a bad thing, so let's just try changing the name, not the policy. Let's just change the name.
Like it's a cup of Pepto-Bismol.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Tricking people to believe that they're actually fixing the border problem while they make it worse.
Exactly.
I'm gonna not pay my taxes and then ask for some tax relief.
There you go.
Yeah, relief. Relief. That's what we need. All right, so a big development in this campaign in and of itself, which has gotten precious little discussion by the mainstream media. A lot was made of the winter months when Trump was embroiled in a primary that obviously was costly, and they were looking at the war chest that Joe Biden was building, thought to be insurmountable at some level, and thought to be increasingly insurmountable. It would compound on itself, and it would exponential growth in the gap between Republican and Democratic fundraising. Well, take a look at the FEC numbers. It turns out our friend Rob Pyers, who's a great follow on X.
Yeah.
You've got to, if you're into campaign finance and where money is going, you got to follow this guy because he is all over it. But he's put out some receipts at the end of May and where cash on hand stands. Turns out Biden plus DNC, 60.3 million for Biden, 156.7 for the DNC. I mean, compare that with Trump, 106.1 million, RNC 170.7.
And what's interesting here is that these are hard dollars, as they say. So what that means is that Hansborg Weiss and George Soros cannot write unlimited checks to these accounts. These are accounts that are being filled with regular Americans
$50, $35 increments.
Right.
And the trial and the conviction in New York had a huge component to this.
That was like the biggest fundraising day, I think, in
Republican history.
Yeah.
Republican history. And for good reason. It was a nightmare, and people were rightly outraged by it. But what it's done, essentially, is put Trump in a hard dollar cash on hand lead, which if you'd have told any of us this a year ago, we would have been like, you're nuts.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing is, I want to say it was like Variety. It was one of these like Hollywood, trade publications. Had an article over the weekend of where Democrats, liberal donors in California were just like stunned that Trump has erased the cash advantage. Because the thing is everyone knows that the Democrat Party is completely beholden to the wealthy.
Yep.
To folks like Duncan was describing a second ago, who live in their gated communities, are completely unbothered by inflation, by crime, by illegal immigration. So these people were like, but we thought all of us rich people could just buy this and stop Trump. Like, what the hell is going on? They were so shocked. This article is hilarious. They were like, I woke up and it was like the worst day of my life. And I was like, I want this for 4 years. I want every morning to be the worst day of your life for 4 years. Please let this happen. It's just that, and they are stunned. I mean, because they've been doing everything they can. They thought the game plan was as simple as, if we can have the magic words, convicted felon Donald Trump, we win this. And we just have to throw enough money at the cause. And it's not working out, and they're waking up to that fact, and it's shocking them.
It is unbelievable. It really is like a different universe where they're like, yeah, we can run a cadaver.
Yeah. It was like a
And
week before. It was a week before the that bullshit conviction in New York that like Obama had that fundraising event that they raised like $10 million at or something. They're like, oh man, it's a wrap for the Trump campaign.
Yeah.
I mean, not.
Small victory lap that I have to take here is that, called this, like with the conviction that the small dollar, flood would happen immediately. Yeah. And that, once the primary was over and all the committees like the RNC could use Trump's name again in appeals, like he would raise a shit ton of money. And that's obviously true.
Well, and they did some restructuring. I mean, to their great credit, it isn't just happening. Mm-hmm. Like they're doing things. Mm-hmm. It's not like, there was much about the first, the 2016 campaign in particular that happened for Donald Trump because of force of personality, a new person on the stage that people just enjoyed and wanted much more than they wanted a Hillary Clinton. But now you have two ubiquitously known individuals, and it's, the stakes are already, you have an opinion of Joe Biden and Donald Trump. the question is like, do you have the infrastructure in place to take advantage of ups and downs and ensuring that you're maximizing your fundraising capacity? And they made some significant changes.
I guess my point is that the RNC and the other committees, for that matter, were like swinging with a weighted bat for a while during this primary. You know,
That's fair.
a lot of these lists were built during the Donald Trump era when he was president of the United States, and suddenly they can't say his name anymore because there's a Republican primary going on. The second that primary ended, suddenly we're all like on the same team. Every email you're getting or text messages about the guy who's the nominee. I think that has a huge impact.
Reactivates a list.
There was a lot of pent up demand, I think, with a lot of these institutions, small dollar donor universe.
Yeah, I think you're right. Well, as typical with the old man.
Yeah, that's right.
He's just
He knows. I mean,
old man.
he knows this stuff.
He knows this stuff. All right, we're going to be back with some variety, and I think you're going to like it a lot. We're going to play another game, a Tuesday game.
A Tuesday game.
Yeah.
You don't get a lot of
What a
Tuesday
treat.
games, right? But we're trying to spread out our variety, so we'll get to all of that and more right after this.
Hey folks, my friends at Americans for Prosperity are again on the front lines fighting against the border crisis. It's clear the politicians aren't going to solve this on their own. It's going to take good old-fashioned grassroots activism, and that's what AFP specializes in. Americans for Prosperity Foundation has taken hundreds of concerned citizens to see the border for themselves, turning them into informed activists. And Americans for Prosperity knows just what we need: more border agents, more walls, and more technology. That's what makes Americans for Prosperity unique. They do the tough work of organizing and mobilizing everyday Americans to make a difference. In fact, they just announced a major campaign to hold Biden and his allies accountable for the crisis at the border. Learn more at securebordersecureamerica.com. That's securebordersecureamerica.com.
So, Dunks, this might be your bailiwick
It is.
here. But Trump, as we know, has been a big UFC presence.
Mm-hmm.
And he shows up there, I don't know, once a quarter.
Brings down the house every time.
And every single time they just like, it's cheering, it's mayhem. People love him at the UFC stuff. That's Dana White. It's, you know, I mean, look, they've done extraordinarily well at taking a sport that was basically not on the map 15 years ago and making it one of the most viewed and certainly attended events anywhere in this country. He's been a big part of that. So he floated a new idea. Trump floats a UFC-style migrant league amid border crisis. What is this?
It's classic Trump. Just like he just loves riffing.
What is this?
I don't know. He just loves to riff.
But hold on. So, according to Politico, former President Trump suggested in two speeches Saturday that migrants coming to the U.S. should have their own fighting league, remarking that they're nasty, mean, and tough people who could beat the country's top fighters. Speaking to a crowd of conservative Christians at a Faith and Freedom Coalition gathering in Washington, D.C., Trump said he shared the idea with Dana White, the president of the Ultimate Fighting Championship. I said, Dana, I have an idea. Why don't you set up a migrant league of fighters and have your regular league fighters, and then you can have a champion of your league, the greatest fighters in the world, fight the champion of the migrants.
I mean, much like the NFL has the NFC and the AFC. Like, if you're gonna have a Super Bowl, you got to have two conferences.
That suggestion drew laughter from the crowd, a response that continued as he spoke more about the concept. I think the migrant might win, he said. Trump added that White didn't like the idea. Didn't like it. But actually, it's not the worst idea I've ever had, he said. He continued. Trump later repeated the idea during a rally at Philadelphia. UFC did not immediately respond for comment.
So the reason why
Where's the fun in being Donald Trump if you can't throw out your ideas?
Yeah. So like he does this thing sometimes.
Not the worst idea.
You'll pick up on it if you watch enough of his material, because he's always working on his tight five at the Comedy Store, and he's got have you heard this other one that he likes doing now, the Hannibal Lecter one? Mm-hmm. Where he's like, Hannibal Lecter was a great guy. He even invited his friend over for dinner. I've heard him now. Heard him now do that riff like 4 or 5 times.
He's tightening it in.
And he's getting really, really good at it. But like now the media is reporting on it like it's a serious thing.
Yeah.
Like he's talking about Hannibal Lecter. Can
like
you
it's
believe
not
that?
a bit.
It's just a fucking joke.
Yeah, it's
a fucking joke. Lighten up.
Right.
You know, like
also Hannibal Lecter, fictional character.
Fictional, not real. Not real. It's a movie.
Not an actual serial killer.
Like,
but
get a grip.
Not according to CNN.
Oh, no.
Most trusted name in news.
Now he's endorsing serial killers.
He's a real person.
As you know.
Right. Yeah. So it's vintage Trump.
But this is actually hilarious. So like the idea.
I mean, it is hilarious. That's the problem is like for so long, and I think this is part of the reason why they're losing is the left has tried to enforce this like no fun allowed kind of bullshit of like if you say a joke, you're gonna get
racist.
People go after that's a racist thing. That's an ableist. That's like offending 9 people. So no one is allowed to do that. Like. Get the hell out of here.
Right.
Like,
wear a mask, eat a bug, shut your mouth, and take what we give you.
It's like the American people are sick of that shit. They're done with it. And I think that when someone's clearly, like Trump's having a great time. If you've been to one of these rallies, it's essentially a party. Everyone's having a good time, except for the journalists who are mad. They're mad about that shit.
It's the thing about campaigns, for those of us who have done this for a living for a number of years, you can tell who's winning just by basically who is having fun.
Yeah.
Who's thinking creatively, who's like bouncing stuff off. Who, you know, if you're working through this as like a stream of consciousness and you're having a relationship with your audience versus those people who are like, here are the 4 ballot tested.
Oh, you can always tell. You can always
That's
tell
a great point,
when the
man.
wheels
Great.
are really off a campaign. You can always tell when the candidate is in front of the podium and is holding up a mail piece attacking him. If they're holding up the mail piece that's attacking them, you know they already lost.
It's done.
Done.
It's done. If the negativity that naturally comes in campaigns bothers you to the point where that's what you're talking about rather than what you want to talk about, it's over.
Yeah.
It's over. And that's what's happening in this campaign. Like, obviously, Thursday with this debate, there's a massive demarcation line. It's like everything up to this point and everything after it. I don't know what that means. It could be good. It could be bad. It could be like a sum of both. But, like, up to this point, it's a wash, man.
Yeah.
Like, Trump has been he went from an unelectable former president to a prohibitive frontrunner and perhaps a wipeout electoral college victory in a calendar year.
And you know the thing
That's
is
wild to think about.
I think the Biden campaign recognizes this fact. I think that's part of the reason they're trying to lower expectations for this debate as much as possible. And I guarantee, and reports have been coming out, for over the past month, Biden's been preparing for this. Like, they have already fed him lines that with his remaining brain cells he has memorized. God knows what vitamins or whatnot they're going to hop him up on to make sure that he can perform because they know it's all on the line and he's going to – they've prepped for this so hard and at the same time they're doing everything they can to lower expectations. This debate is going to be key, but don't think Biden's going to show up and just like fall down it's a wrap. It's going to be the exact opposite. You're going to see the best Biden can do.
Do not think that. You've seen the State of the Unions. You know what the B12 does.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, there's lot.
I think it's a little bit more than B12.
Well, whatever.
We're never gonna get
Allegedly,
the blood
we're
sample.
laughing.
Yeah.
We're laughing. Yeah. Funny satire. We're never gonna get the blood sample.
Never.
No. But I actually, I mean, Smug, you raise a really good point, which is all the things they've been doing in the month leading up to this with him wandering around during the G7, with like all the events that he does where he can't speak, all of that stuff, it does nothing but lower the bar. At this point, like if he stands up straight, draws breath, and delivers an opening statement, people will be like, oh, he's fit
and
to serve.
that's the thing is none of those were
Fit to serve.
choreographed.
Right.
This is going to be so choreographed. Like the only thing he's doing, because he's not doing his job as a president, we all know this. The only thing he is doing and has been doing for the past month is preparing for this debate. And I'm telling everyone right now, if you think he's going to show up and drool, that's absolutely not going to happen. You're going to see Biden at his absolute best possible.
He's going to try to push his buttons. right?
Yeah.
He's going to try to push the Trump buttons that he believes President Trump doesn't have the discipline to avoid. And look, seeing him 2 weeks ago, it feels like the discipline is there in a way that I haven't seen with Donald Trump. We'll see in an open forum. Like, he's a showman, right? So I don't know what to expect. This is going to be a widely
gonna be so
anticipated deal.
Gonna
Yeah,
be
like, I
so
just
good.
can't wait to see it. Dunks, you have a thought on it?
They're going to silence the microphones,
Yeah.
which could go
Wait,
one.
is that
That's a thing.
confirmed? Is that confirmed?
I think so, right? They're silencing the
Yeah,
microphones.
no, they're giving him, and they're also
From
building in.
crosstalk.
They're building
Yeah,
in
from
two
crosstalk.
They're building in 2 commercial breaks, which has never happened before, simply so he can sit down and take a breath.
So the silencing of the microphones, though, is I think it could actually help Donald Trump.
100%.
The first debate in 2020, I think, was a big mistake where he went so hard,
Yeah.
so often, cutting off Joe Biden that
People in their mind still had, nice Uncle
Yeah,
Joe in
just
their
kinda
mind, and they
felt
saw
bad.
Trump roll up and just like deck
Yeah.
good old Grandpa
I mean,
Joe.
just
Yeah.
you got to just let Joe Biden talk because
He can't defend anything.
He can't defend
defend
anything, and he's really bad when he has to talk extemporaneously on his feet when he's asked a sharp question. When he's behind,
What is this? 2 hour? Is it 2 hour debate?
Yeah.
If it was an hour and a half of Joe Biden talking and 30 minutes of Donald Trump, this thing's a wrap.
Right.
This thing's a wrap.
Right.
Put it in the bank. Let's move. We might as well start the inauguration in July. Like, that's my take. If you have an hour and a half of Joe Biden trying to defend his godforsaken record, it's over.
And I guarantee that's part of their thing is like you said, they're going to try to get Biden to press Trump's buttons and let him talk so Biden doesn't have to go off the cuff. Every word that Biden says is going to be memorized and practiced. And I'm telling everyone right now, 100% be ready to see the best you've seen Joe Biden in a very long time because he knows, that team knows what's on the line.
Yep, totally agree. So, you want to play a game?
Always.
I mean, it's a special Monday game, Tuesday game.
Yeah, it's a Tuesday treat.
Yeah, I mean, I think we have heard from you, dear listener,
Yes.
that you like the games and would like more games.
Yep.
And so we're here to provide, and we're going to go back to an old trusty.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah, we haven't played this game in a long time.
Okay.
And it's called How Many Retweets?
Oh,
good
yeah.
one. That's
I
a
love
good
this one.
And what I love about this game is, King of the Hill is our signature game. It will always be our signature game.
Yeah.
But it's former Republicans only. And How Many Retweets is a game in which we can,
We branch out.
yeah, right. We
You can find the craziest shit.
we control the
craziest
absolute dregs of the internet
Yeah.
and find the best
yeah,
content.
well, we're limited in King of the Hill to people who previously had control of their faculties
Yes.
and have lost them.
Yeah,
These are people who have never had control.
Long
They've
time in the crazy game.
but I have another additional treat.
Oh, wow.
Managed to dig up the old music. Let's play that music.
Oh, yes.
Oh, wow.
How many retweets?
Yes.
That's such
that
a
was
classic.
Yeah, it's a classic.
And it sounds like from when it was pressed on vinyl.
Yeah, it was pressed on vinyl. Like we recorded that in the conference room into some tin cans.
I feel like we should be Charlie Chaplin with a top hat and cane.
How far we have come. But that is man, Tuesday
Okay.
throwback. I love
So
it.
just
is
a,
that
What are the
good?
rules?
yeah, a reminder for our audience: the way that this is played is I'm going to read a tweet, and then the three of these gentlemen, I need to guess an over/under. I'm going to place an over/under on the number of retweets. They get to guess over/under, and then we keep scoring. And there'll be 3 rounds of this game.
Excellent.
So the first tweet here is from Liz Cheney.
Oh my God.
Oh, so it fits. It actually obliterates
we're-
our former Republican.
Well, we're doing these run the gamut.
Oh,
You're gonna love this.
Okay, all right.
Liz Cheney. It's a photo from Taylor Swift's concert,
Come on.
and she says, "Thank you, Taylor Swift." Tags Taylor Swift. That's so fucking thirsty.
Oh, Jesus.
Thank you, Taylor Swift, for giving us a million reasons to smile. P.S. Real Donald Trump. This is what a sold-out crowd actually looks like.
Oh my God.
What the
Which I just love this because
It's just so stale.
well, right, it's stale as fuck, and Biden couldn't get a standing ovation at a Cracker Barrel, and
Especially not a Cracker Barrel.
and Donald Trump can put like 20,000 people in Wildwood, and she's like, it's not as big as a Taylor Swift concert. and that means Biden's winning.
I mean, like,
Also, thank you at Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
Is so good.
super thirsty.
Yeah,
She's
so
hoping for
thirsty.
like a retweet.
Wants
and then
that RT.
It's like, you know, there are things in life other than Donald Trump, lady. Like,
Right?
don't you have anything else going on? Like, not everything is Donald Trump. It may
Right.
surprise you. There's other
Like,
parts
we
of life.
think of different things other than Donald Trump. I mean, my God, don't
That
you have
is-
somebody to take to softball practice or something?
That's
For the
so
love of
sad.
God.
Old man, where are you putting the over-under on this?
I'm putting the over/under at 2,000
Oh,
retweets.
I have an answer on that. Are we answering now?
Yeah, you go
Jeez,
first
you're
in this
really
round.
aggressive about it.
I'm going to say under.
Under.
Because this is someone who has sort of fallen way, way far. And I think that even though she invokes Taylor Swift with the handle, she is not getting more than 2,000 retweets.
Can we ask whether or not there was any Taylor Swift engagement?
No, you cannot ask.
I cannot ask.
No.
Because that changes things.
I mean, you
I
got.
doubt it heavily.
You have to accept the tweet as it exists
In the natural world.
in the natural world.
Without
Yes.
context
Yeah.
of whom, by whom
Yeah.
it's been engaged.
Yeah. You don't get to like flip up the rug, turn off the lights, and put on the luminol and see if the dead body's there. You just have to see, was a crime committed?
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yes, I know
So it's
exactly. what you
CSI.
mean. Michael,
Holmes.
Michael, I think that was. Well, you don't blame me for trying to get an edge.
No, I appreciate it.
So, my guess, and for a very specific reason, is over.
Okay.
And I think when you put a take out that bad, I bet some of the retweets, I bet a significant portion of the retweets are quote retweets dunking on it. Because it's like, when you put out something so stupid, you're going to get a lot of people that tell you.
Wait,
you're
so-
it's just RTs.
The quote retweets count?
No, it's just RT.
It's just because that's a reply.
quote retweets now on X are in the same cat.
Yeah.
He
Quote
would know.
retweets count
Smug,
as
Smug is our
RTs.
resident expert.
They don't, you know.
All right, you fucking nerd.
Okay.
Holmes,
well, I
what's
mean,
your
look,
take?
it's our Twitter guy.
I know the
And
thing.
our Twitter guy knows the thing.
I know the thing.
Can we play the game?
Well, I know that he
Can
knows
you
the
just
thing.
play the? Can we play the game?
Not now. I've got to do some recalculating for crying
It's
out
a good
loud.
point. It's a good
This
point.
is unbelievable. The man, like, I got to use some expertise that's
Yeah.
been allotted. And if a quote retweet, I'm saying over. I'm saying over.
Okay.
All right, 2 hours. What is it?
Spaghetti. How many retweets? 5,800.
Wow. Oh.
Look at that.
So it must have, the libs must have just taken it and run with it.
Do you like that extra little panache we put on this now? Spaghetti gives us the reveal.
Yeah,
I do like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
Showmanship.
And what I would like to say here is that clearly the libs took what she said and ran with it, sort of like they've done with everything in the last few years of her career. It's like it's literally just a source
Rick's not
material
done
for the
stomping on her
left.
crates.
Gonna keep on
No, I
jumping
think
on it.
Smug hit on something though. Like you're mentioning Taylor Swift and Donald Trump in a tweet, like that boosts in the algorithm for
Yeah.
sure.
People are all over that.
Yeah, especially when
That'll even get-
Hans-Georg
that'll
Weiss
even get-
pays people to retweet.
Yeah.
It'll even get spaghetti up for his lasagna to make a move on that.
Okay. Tweet number 2, and Smug will be our first player in this round. This is from Brianna Joy Gray.
This
You know,
is so offensive.
who is a Hamas apologist, a left-wing media personality. I might have missed it, but has the Times or any other major U.S. paper covered these reports of Israel training dogs to rape Palestinian
Get the
prisoners?
Fuck out of here! How did I? This is where I was on vacation, right? Because I didn't see any
This
of that.
is ridiculous, dude.
There is like,
Can you believe that?
Ridiculous.
so I think this is a perfect example of how mental health in this country has declined so much. And like there was a time when we used to put people in asylums. Like that is right there. The prime example of why we got to go back.
Can you imagine? Netanyahu's like, I would like to have a discussion about the raping of the dog.
He sits with the defense minister like, let's begin training the dogs.
fellas,
Insane.
fellas, I have an idea. It's a dog rape. That's how we gain the advantage. Come on! Like that's these. You're right. That's an acute mental
100%.
health crisis.
100%. That's a sign.
Okay.
Where's the over/under?
The over/under is at 3,000.
3,000. Oh my God.
3,000 RTs.
Big number.
Smug is first.
I'm going to go with under.
Okay.
I mean, the man is hard not to go with. But again, I kind of come back to this piece where how it aggregates. And then this is like a very dunkable deal. If it was just simply a reply that didn't count as an RT in a quote tweet, I would go under all day. The fact that it's actually
it's dunkable.
Accrued, I'm going to go over.
Okay.
I'm also going to go over because, as you know, X is a global platform, and there are way too many terrorists
Dog
with bot
rapings?
accounts tweeting, and
People aware of dog rapings.
They literally want to make things up because they think it covers for their atrocities. I'm saying over.
Spaghetti, show us the retweets. Show us the retweet. There it is.
Oh, right under the bar.
Just under.
Holy cow!
There you go. It's like Price is Right. You can't go over.
The man is a student of these
he
things.
is.
I feel like he has an
He is.
institutional advantage.
I'm 0 for 2. I need to just say what
You're 0
Smug
for
says
2.
next
Smug.
time.
So Smug, you have a point, and I think you're 0 for 2 as well.
No, I'm 1
No,
for
one
two.
for
Well,
two.
sorry, yes,
I'm 1 for
So,
two.
I
1
get
to
it
1
wrong,
to
he
0.
gets it right, and it's tied.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's all gonna come down to tweet number 3 from Sherry My Sherry.
Oh,
Yes!
wow. Excellent.
I just you just gotta include her.
Oh, you got
You gotta find
you just
a way.
have to. She's so good.
It's a very simple tweet.
Also, not playable in King of the Hill now that it's
Yeah.
out there. Oh
Sherry
my God.
Jacobus
oh, my God.
tweets a photo of rotten fruit, stock image. She still has the stock watermark of a bunch of rotten fruit, and she tweets, "Trump's brain equals rotting vegetables."
It's a fucking.
It's just
With the stock footage, like stock photo watermark is just.
she didn't even pay for it. She
How do
didn't
you
find
think that goes down? By the way, do you think she's just like sitting there with a tip top or shards?
Yeah.
And like playing with the cat.
Yeah.
And
Allegedly.
she's like, rotten vegetables. That's where I'm going. Like, what do we have on the AP image search? Let's hit Google Images.
Eureka.
Yeah, here we are. Rotten and I'll
This
throw
is
that
gonna
out.
do numbers.
That's tonight's work. That's what we're doing. You know what? And then this.
My work here's done.
Good night, everybody. See you tomorrow morning. What's the over/under on this?
the over/under is 750 RTs.
That's a tough one. That's tough.
I will be frank with you. I found that less than compelling.
Okay.
I think we've done a good job of mitigating her exposure, and that people feel, even the hate listeners to our program, they feel like RTing her in and of itself is a little bit of a suspect move. Sus, as the kids say.
Yeah,
it's
sus.
sus. Right? Her Riz is gone.
Oh my God. Wow. Please never say that again.
You really did spend time with the kids last week.
And it's also cringe.
It's cringe.
It's also cringe.
Skibbity, Ohio.
Yeah.
As I would say.
Not quite aesthetic.
So good. So I'm going to say under.
Okay.
I'm going to say under because she's a lunatic.
So strategically, I'm going to give the same answer as Holmes, so I'm guaranteed to win.
But you're tied.
No, he's got one wrong, one right.
No,
I've got
he's
two
Oh,
right.
yeah, that's right.
He's
So
right.
I'm just gonna
cheat.
Wow.
Rather than be an upstanding gentleman.
Without any spirit of sportsmanship.
But our audience is relying upon
Yeah.
some kind of a cliffhanger here, and instead of
he's
providing
kneeling.
that,
He refuses to run a play.
no, he
Running out
took
the
a
clock.
knee.
He is Neil.
Victory formation.
Took a knee
Under.
with the Star Spangled Banner above him.
Well, I respect it because you got to see this. Spaghetti, how many retweets? 9. She got 9 sad retweets.
I mean, that restores some faith in humanity.
There are more vegetables in that picture.
More rotten vegetables than retweets. Oh my God, it's so good, man. I just.
Well, Smug is our
Great
champion.
Game. Great game. Great
Yeah,
game.
you won,
Yeah.
pal. Good look. Good work. Good work.
It's his medium.
Yeah, it really is. We're playing on, away
Sister.
from home
Yeah,
on this
right.
deal.
Yeah, right.
It's an away game. All right, we got to get to our interview. Sarah Gabel, you're gonna love her right now.
I want to welcome to the program a very, very special lady. This is someone who has started a company in an area that she believes in very, very much. Sarah Gabel Seifert. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
Really glad that you're here, and I want to get to everything, your background, your company. But first, I want to talk about fertility rates, because this is something that a lot of people are concerned about in our country. The rates, as a lot of people know, have come to historic lows within the last year.
Yep.
Why is that?
Yeah, it's a great question. So it's at 1.7 right now in the U.S., and it needs to be at 2.1 in order for us to have a healthy, thriving society. And it's concerning, and we all should take note of that and let that number really sink in, because we're not producing enough children to sustain a future for America that I believe many of us want to see. And children are a gift. They're a blessing, and they're a legacy. It's the most wonderful thing that anyone could embark upon is becoming a parent. And I think we live in a time and we have a culture that loves to celebrate death, and they also love to praise themselves. And I think that the combination of self-praise and I want to make it in my career and this really unhealthy feminist movement is really detrimental to young people. And there's some statistics out there that even say 23% of young people, or really just women in their childbearing years, anywhere from 18 to 44, are saying 23% of them are saying that because of their concern for climate control, they're not going to have children because they're afraid that their child is going to release emissions into the world that are life-threatening. They're like a cancer. And that's mind-boggling that this overpopulation control mindset that is being pushed on the other side is affecting people today. And 44% of those young people in childbearing years are just saying in general, they're considering just not having children. And I think it is because there is that push to, again, make it all about you and exceed in your career, and that children are going to keep you back from being able to do that. And I'm so grateful that I have not bought into that lie. And I think, it can be an easy thing for people to start. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. It's all about you. It's the self-movement. It's the self-care. It's the you mindset. And again, this push that families are not the most important thing. So I think a lot of people are vulnerable to falling into that trap and that mindset at a young age. And we need to be really sending a counter message, which we're doing at Every Life. And I'm sure we'll get to that topic. But I'm just so glad that there are companies, there are organizations that are realizing this is a problem. They're speaking about it, and we're providing solutions and really saying, look, let's press into life. Like, let's celebrate life and let's champion parenthood.
Well, you actually are doing something about it. You founded a company called Every Life that started selling diapers, and I know you're selling a whole lot more than that. Can you tell us about how you started the company, what you guys are doing out there?
Sure. Yeah, so Every Life started in July of last year. So we're only, 10 months old? And we're the fastest growing diaper company America has ever seen, which is incredible. And the reason we created Every Life was because there was a hole in the market. I became pregnant with my first child, and my husband and I also started Public Square a couple years back, which is America's marketplace. It's the largest marketplace of businesses that are pro-life, pro-family, pro-freedom, 80,000 plus businesses on the app that you can go shop at today. And we saw that our consumers on Public Square were actually searching for diapers. And there was not a pro-life, pro-family, pro-freedom diaper company out there. And again, I got pregnant during this time that we were discovering that there was a hole. And it became very personal to me because I started to do research, John, and realized that every major diaper company on the market today, Huggies, Pampers, Hello Bello, Honest, Coterie, the list goes on, in some form or fashion is supporting abortion either vocally or financially, some of them both. And that's heartbreaking. And I hope all of the listeners are letting that reality sink in. This is a diaper company that's providing diapers for babies, and they're supporting the ending of their lives. Doesn't take pro-life out of it. That makes no economic sense. That's not a good business model to be killing off your own customers, first of all. And then the other thing is, where are the pro-family, pro-life diaper companies that actually cherish life and want to protect and steward life and celebrate parenthood and see the mom and the dad as this amazing unit that we should really back and encourage? There wasn't one. And so that's why we started Every Life. And we're so grateful that we don't only stand unapologetically for life, but we also have a premium product. It's the best diaper I've ever put on my baby. And so I'm just so thankful that we don't only have the solution so you can shop your pro-life values with Every Life, but we also have a product that's really working for parents. We have thousands of reviews, 5-star reviews of parents saying, man, since I switched to Every Life, my baby doesn't have diaper rash and I'm sleeping better at night because it's working and it's holding the urine and it has 12-hour leak protections, all the things that you need in a diaper. We didn't compromise on the quality. And that was really important to us too. It's extremely clean, great ingredients. And so it's a great product. I hope any mom or dad listening will go check out Every Life because, again, it's supporting your pro-life values and it's a diaper that actually does the job.
It's really cool in this time because it's sort of countercultural right now. And who would have ever thought that like family would be something that's countercultural in America?
Right.
And you guys are not just doing diapers, but you have other things too, right? You have wipes.
So we started with diapers and wipes, and that is currently what we have on the website. But we also have a Buy for a Cause program, and I love this part of our mission too. Again, we're not just forward in our stance for life vocally, but we really want to make sure we put action behind our words. And so our Buy for a Cause program is a great way for people to partner with our extraordinary mission, where we're not only changing diapers, we're changing lives. If you purchase a Buy for a Cause bundle, you can know that that month's supply of diapers and wipes will go directly to a pregnancy resource center that's really in urgent need of those supplies. That way they can give those diapers to a mom that has chosen life for her baby. And we've heard stories of how, and I used to work in the pregnancy resource center space for a long time. I directed a center in San Clemente, California, and I know the impact of even just telling a mom that one, she has love, she has support, she's not alone, and then to tell her, hey, you don't have to worry about diapers. It can be the difference between life or death for that unborn baby. So we're really saving lives with the work that we're doing. And so it's a great way for us, again, to really give back. And we've already been able to donate over 1.3 million diapers since we started.
That's a ton.
Isn't that wild?
That is a ton of diapers.
And all of those are going in the hands of moms and dads who have chosen life for their baby, that were in a vulnerable situation and really needed the resources.
I mean, your company started about a year ago. And you are admittedly not as big as some of the giant players,
right,
and yet you're still giving out over 1 million diapers. I mean,
yeah.
I think that's probably unheard of.
Sure, yeah, probably.
So how did you get involved in the life movement? I mean, can you just like talk a little bit about what sort of took you in that direction?
Yeah, sure. So I really stepped into my faith when I was in college. And that was a really pivotal time where I was kind of going one direction. I was getting a business economics degree and studying real estate. And then God really changed my heart, and I felt that he was leading me down a path of being in the nonprofit space. So I planted churches in LA for a long time. I worked with a nonprofit called JH Ranch that's all about restoring.
JH Ranch.
Yeah, do you know JH Ranch?
I
do. So it's all about restoring the family unit. So my heart for family was birthed when I really started believing in God with all my heart, mind, and soul, and following his ways and listening to him. And after that experience of being in ministry, it's really interesting. It was in 2018. I had a dream in the night, actually, and it was all about the abortion issue. And I had really not looked into it very much at that point. Obviously, I knew it was a problem. I didn't believe in it, but I didn't have this passion to be a part of the pro-life movement at that stage of my life. And this dream really woke me up, no pun intended, to say, man, I feel like God's trying to show me something here, that this is on his heart, and he is looking for his people to protect his most precious children from the moment of conception. And I remember going through that journey in 2018, even bringing my husband in and praying about, God, what do you want me to do with this dream and kind of this burden you're laying on my heart? Because a lot of times when God lays something on your heart, you're supposed to do something with it. There's a reason it's bothering you. I was up in the night just praying for women and their babies. And eventually it led to me responding and getting involved in the pregnancy resource center space. So I was just being obedient, honestly, to God, and it led me down a path of getting very heavily involved. And I've met with hundreds of girls now when I was working at the pregnancy center that were really vulnerable and considering abortion. And just hearing and listening and providing the truth, letting them see their baby in the womb. The ultrasound is so powerful for them to hear the heartbeat of their baby and make that connection. I mean, I saw hundreds of lives saved during that couple years that I worked at the pregnancy center. And that really took it to another level, the need for people to really stand for life.
And fast forward to today, you've become a real leader in the movement.
Thank you.
And you guys are not only, you and your husband, Michael, who's a great guy, and I think a lot of our listeners may be familiar with him, you guys are also a leader in this push for on a parallel economy.
Yep.
With Public Square, as you mentioned, which is sort of a sister company to Every Life. And can you tell the listeners a little bit about that? I mean, I know that they are looking for alternative places to purchase their goods, that they could be buying from some woke company that they know hates them, or instead buying from some local company where things are American made, that employ their neighbors and people in their community.
That's right. Yeah. So my husband and I, Michael, he has such a heart for politics. He has a heart for life. He has a heart for our country and really just wanting to make it better for our kids. And I remember when COVID happened, we were going through this process just personally as a family, making a list of all the businesses that were not closing their doors because government was telling them to. They were taking a stand. They were keeping the doors open and saying, for me and my business, I'm going to let my customers come in freely. I'm not going to ask them for their vaccine passports and all the craziness that was happening during that time. And that was important for us to identify local businesses, small businesses that we could confidently go shop at and know with the blessed assurance that they were aligning with our core convictions, what we believe in, the basics, love our country, love God, love freedom, right? And so we realized this list, we did the research and we learned a lot. We learned about a lot of businesses that don't support what we believe and are donating to abortion or donating to various progressive causes. But we also learned about a lot of small businesses, and we were in California at the time, that were supporting the things that we hold dear. And so we just started spending our money differently and being very intentional with that. And then it birthed this idea of, man, wouldn't this be helpful for other people to have access to our list of businesses just here in San Diego? And that's really how it started. And Michael, man, he's so driven and full of ambition and so passionate about creating something that others can use that's effective, that does create solutions to the problems at hand. We never want to be people that just complain. We want to actually be people that do something with the problems that we're seeing. So that's what Public Square came out of, was a discussion within our own family and then wanting it to simply be accessible for other people. Now it's nationwide. Like I mentioned earlier, we have 80,000 plus small businesses on the app. Go to publicsquare.com, download the app, it's free, and you can shop at these amazing businesses that really need our support. That's the other thing, is small businesses are the backbone of our country, and we need to be fueling our money that direction, especially if their values aligned. And so we're providing a place where people can really get that information easily. You can now purchase products on the app and get them shipped to your doorstep. So we're really trying to fight against even the Amazons of the world. We have work to do, but we've made a lot of progress in a short amount of time, and it is growing significantly. I mean, we have millions now of consumers that are using the platform and saying, wow, I'm so thankful I now have this resource of pro-American businesses that I can confidently go put my money towards. And there is power in what you spend your money on. And I think Americans are realizing that, but I still think there's an awakening that needs to happen there, because we can vote with our dollars every single day.
Well, people really seem to want it. And not that we shop at Walmart just like everybody else, right? But what small towns saw over the last 2 or 3 decades was a consolidation where Walmart moves in and a lot of the small businesses go out, and they couldn't compete with Walmart because of a price and so many other reasons. But there's still a desire among consumers to buy from somebody they know or somebody whose values they share. And so in a way, what you guys are doing is a deconstruction of what we saw over the last few decades, where a gigantic multinational company comes in and takes over small town America. You're empowering small town America to do what it is they want to do. Some people just want to make things in their own town and hire people in their own town and sell to people. And you're providing the marketplace for them to be able to do that.
That's exactly right. And it's so important that we realize we have the opportunity to bless these people that are working so hard to create a business for themselves, for other people, to be able to provide for their family. I know so many times when I purchase from Public Square and I get a handwritten note from the owner themselves. I mean, Walmart's not going to do that for you. These big mega corporations, they're not going to take that extra step to provide the customer support and go above and beyond to thank you for your purchase. That used to be something that happened all the time. Like customer service was actually a thing, not even, 5-10 years ago. Now it's like you get on the phone with somebody and you can barely talk to a human today. And so I think people are craving this kind of going back to the good old days in some ways and conserving what was so special, bringing it back. And I think this is a really great way for us to do that, to fuel our money towards the businesses that are working so hard to provide something for our families. And I know I feel better when I shop. When I shop at, I ditched Amazon because I'm like, I don't feel good supporting Amazon. There's nothing about that purchase that gives me any sort of gratitude. Every time that I go to Public Square and I make a purchase, I feel good. I feel confident. Even I was thinking about the other day, I had a handyman come to my house and I found him on Public Square. And today I'm really cautious about who I'm letting in my home. And to know that we had values alignment, we had the synergy. I got to have a personal connection with him about his heart for the platform, how it's skyrocketed his business. I mean, we hear stories about that all the time. A business is just reaching out and say, thank you for creating this community, because without it, I probably wouldn't be here anymore.
Yeah, there's a great Alan Jackson song. I don't know if you like country music. There's
Love
a
country
great
music.
Alan Jackson song that I think is maybe 20 years old now, about the little man and how like the little man has just like been taken over by big corporations and big everything. And I feel like you guys are reversing that. You're empowering the little man.
That's right.
And
who doesn't want to do that?
Exactly.
Who doesn't want to help the little man? Who doesn't want to see them succeed?
Yeah, and I mean, what I think, major companies and big time political parties, they overlook what small town America has to offer, which is huge. It is small businesses are the backbone of our country, and small towns really make America what it is. And I think what you guys are doing is really special.
Thank you.
Sarah Gabel, I want to also talk to you about where you see Every Life going. I mean, it seems like the kind of thing that could actually go global. There are people in different countries who value life and share these values. Is that the direction you think it could go? Or I mean, it seems like sky's the limit for you.
I agree. Sky is the limit, and we basically want to put everything on the table. So when it comes to launching with diapers and wipes, and you mentioned this earlier, is that all we have? Yes, that's what we have right now. But we always knew from the very beginning we wanted to launch with that, but we really wanted to build a baby brand where moms and dads across America that need the essentials for their child can go to everylife.com and get everything they need. So we have a vision to continue to expand our product line. So more to come, even this year. I won't say too much, but more to come.
Yeah.
And yes, we have lots of vision for taking this beyond our borders. And there is such a need. I mean, you look at the fertility rates and the birth rates, not just in the U.S. that are alarming, but it's a global crisis. It goes into multiple countries. And so you think about the message that we're sending. And we did this massive Make More Babies campaign in January, right? Where we hit on this topic exactly. We took Elon Musk's tweet that said, having children is saving the world. You helped us with this. And we put it up on a billboard in Times Square. And it was powerful, and it really resonated with people because it got people's brains thinking a little bit differently. That message, Make More Babies, it could mean a couple of different things, but what the angle we were going at was the fact that we're not producing enough children in America, and we really need to see more, and we want to see more, and we want to start seeing a society that embraces families and embraces children, that begins to see them as a gift, a blessing, not an inconvenience, not a curse, but a reward. And it landed. I mean, we had viral moments, and it was incredible. And so I think that campaign really got us into the mainstream to where even other countries have seen that entire movement and said, how can we get this here? We're just getting started. We have lots of vision for where this can go, and I'm really excited about where we are currently because we have lots to be thankful for. The fact that we are the fastest growing diaper company in 10 months is quite significant, and the fact that this is working for parents, the diaper and the wipes, again, raving reviews, but we want to go big. So again, we're just getting started over here.
Yeah, well, that's fantastic. Before I let you go, we have 3 questions that we ask every single guest on the Ruthless Variety program. And the first one is if you could pick your last meal on earth, it could be anything you want, what would it be?
So it'd be sushi, 100%.
Really?
Yeah, I love sushi. And I would probably get even more specific to say, have you ever been to a sugarfish? Okay, you need to at some point. I don't know if they have any in DC, but the whole start to finish, it's all chef prepared. So I like that you don't really have to pick either, because sushi can get a little overwhelming. There's a lot of options.
Oh, yeah.
But it's already done for you, and it's like the best of the best, and it just melts in your mouth. So 100%, I would have my last meal at Sugarfish.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So where can you find Sugarfish?
So I went there often when we lived in LA.
Okay.
But they have them in New York and all kind of the big cities.
Yeah, okay.
I would think there would be one here in DC. I'm going to go look after the show.
There might be. I got to Google it.
Yeah,
Right?
Sugarfish. Go look it up.
So the second question, if you could go back and do anything you wanted to do in life, blue sky, and like Ted Cruz, for example, said that he would be an NBA player. It's no chance Ted Cruz would ever be in the NBA in real life, but like if he had his druthers, that's what he would have done.
Yeah.
What would you do if you had a chance?
Okay, so if I had to go back, that is a little different than what I would do moving forward. So going back, I would, if Broadway hadn't gotten so crazy woke, I would say be a Broadway star. From a little girl, I always loved theater and singing, and I would have loved that route.
Really?
Yeah, just being a performer.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite show?
Oh. So Wicked's pretty phenomenal. I've seen Wicked multiple times, but I have not been, honestly, to any Broadway show because it's changed so much.
Yeah.
But I remember for my 13th birthday, all I wanted to do was go to New York and see a Broadway show. So I saw Wicked, and Hairspray, and I think Tarzan as well.
Okay.
It's amazing.
That sounds great. All right. Our third question is a little bit esoteric.
Okay.
And it's based off of the ABC Wide World of Sports, Thrill of Victory or Agony of Defeat. And if our question is, what motivates you? Is it the thrill of victory, which is sort of like Phil Mickelson, Happy Warrior? He thinks he can hit like a 5-iron over water, 225 yards, because he's done it a bunch of times before, and he's super optimistic, glass half full type guy. So other people are motivated by the agony of defeat, and that's like Michael Jordan, where every slight, every loss, he just sort of wears like a backpack throughout the rest of his life. So, Sarah Gabel, what motivates you more? Is it the thrill of victory or the agony of defeat?
Oh, man, that's such a good question. But I think what motivates me more is the victory because I love celebrating the wins, and I love celebrating that with my team and the people around me and my family. So I am really motivated when I fail because I hate failing and I'm super competitive. But I would say what gets me up in the morning and what keeps me going is thinking about making our country better and thinking about creating a place that's going to be better for my kids. And so the victory aspect, the hope, kind of that where could we be sort of mindset is something that excites me and keeps me going.
And you guys have certainly had a lot of victories to celebrate in the last year.
Lots to celebrate.
So if our listeners want to find out more about you, want to find out more about Every Life, where should they go?
Yeah, everylife.com. That's a great place to go. Go to publicsquare.com. Both of those communities are great ones to jump in on. You can make a difference every single day when you shop in alignment with your values. So we hope that you'll jump in the movement with us. And we see it as a movement. You know, this is something that, you know, people are seeing is a need, and the parallel economy really is rising up. So we hope people will come on board with us, everylife.com and publicsquare.com.
Yeah, that's so great. Sarah Gabel Seifert, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Well, she is fantastic. Obviously, she is a business woman. You know, she is really building something special. And I think that Michael Duncan loved the fact that she loves theater because the old man loves theater.
I do love theater. I don't know why. What was that? I've never been in theater. I believe our friend John Ashbrook.
I believe
Ashbrook was a theater kid. Started. He's a theater kid.
He has.
Yeah, he was. Well, you were in Bye Bye.
What a huge backfire!
Bye Bye Birdie.
Well, and in fact, I'm going to now demand the image of you in Bye Bye Birdie be furnished.
I hear
to
you
our
in Bye
audience.
Bye Birdie.
Only if I can have a picture of Michael Duncan as a madrigal singer.
You can. You can.
Can we provide Spaghetts and Wolf? with those images so we can just sort of like all be in on the joke?
I don't know if I have a photo of me singing. I probably have a photo of
How about
me,
the cello?
the
Just the
cello
cello.
playing the cello.
Yeah, the cello.
The family portrait with the golden retriever and
Yes.
me with the cello.
That's what I'd like.
He's misdirecting. He absolutely has a picture of him in the Shakespeare getup as a madrigal singer.
Okay, not a
An alto.
You don't
Were you
understand.
an alto?
So, see, this is just ignorance. He's speaking from a position of ignorance because a madrigal doesn't dress like Shakespeare. A madrigal wears a tux. And boy, did I look good in a tux.
As one does
Yeah.
when they go out on a Sunday or Saturday afternoon.
Yeah.
Did you guys do barbershop? Or what was sort of like the what was
I don't know. What did you sing in Bye Bye Birdie?
whatever the
What
songs
did you
that
sing?
were written?
Yeah.
Whatever the songs that were written.
Do you mind giving us a few bars?
Yeah. How about a few bars?
Only if Michael Duncan sings some
Well, I
barbershop.
see now, like who's redirecting now?
Redirection.
Yeah.
Classic redirection.
Yeah.
Anyhow, she is fantastic.
No,
and
Sarah-
her
Sarah is-
organization, Sarah Gabel Seifert, she is one of a kind.
She really is an incredibly polished voice for our movement. And honestly, pay attention when she's talking because she's way ahead of the game in terms of where things are going and where we ultimately, like the parallel economy piece is something that people have talked about a lot, right? Do you want to spend money for organizations that spend millions of dollars trying to defeat your culture and your way of life? Or would you rather find a network of people who sell the same product but actually align with your viewpoints?
Made here in America by regular Americans in small towns across the
And
country.
it's such a fascinating concept to me because Democrats have done this by force, right? It's a shakedown. It's a modern day mafia. Like what they do is basically hold these companies hostage. They put somebody in charge and like, well, be ashamed if something happened.
Yep.
Hire our guy, kick us back a few million, let us do our thing, and we'll leave you alone. That is the way. If anybody thinks I'm exaggerating that, by the way,
No, that's
I am not.
That's their protection racket.
I am not. And it happens to the very tip top of the Fortune 50, all the way down to your local community. That's the way things work. The way that these people have built up companies is to try to connect people, small business owners around this country, to try to provide the same goods and services that you're getting from the people who've been shaken down at a place where these people are supporting our values, supporting our point of view. It is the most no-brainer thing of all. If you haven't gone on to it already, the public square situation she was talking about, get on that thing.
Yeah.
Just check it out. I'm not saying you got to go buy anything, but go check it out. It lets your mind
eye-opening.
wander. It's eye-opening.
Yeah.
And you'd be surprised the people you will find in your own community that do the thing that you need, that you don't have to go off and pay, you know, the people who are like, I don't know, Hamas isn't so bad. You know what I mean? Like, it's wild to me that we've gotten to a point where the left has shaken down this country to a point where we have to accept this as a price of admission for goods and services. What these guys have done is just provide an alternative. I think it's brilliant. I'm glad we had her on. With that, we got a big show on Thursday.
Yeah.
It's going to be a debate preview, obviously, as one does.
I mean, it's like the biggest event of the year.
Biggest event of the year. We're going to give it our full effort. And we've got some exciting announcements coming up. We've talked a little bit about what we're doing at the convention. We're going to put some meat on that bone. You're going to be shocked and amazed and surprised, and you're going to want to be a part of it. So we've got that and a lot more. It's going to be a fun summer, fellas.
Yeah.
So with that, I think we've done it.
I think so. Absolute banger of an episode. Gentlemen, thank you so much, Sarah, and thank you so much to the Minions. Reminder, if you have not yet, subscribe on YouTube. It's more fun in video, and it's free. So, until next time, Minions, keep the faith, hold the line, and own the libs. We'll see you on Thursday. Stay ruthless.